Anna, a dedicated mother, watches her life crumble as she is unjustly accused by her own son, Pedro. But the truth is even darker. Lara, Pedro's manipulative wife, plots a cruel plan to destroy the family and take everything for herself. Anna was sitting on a park bench, watching the leaves of the trees gently sway in the wind. The weight of the 10th anniversary of her husband's death made everything feel bleaker. She held a small memory box that she cherished, filled with photos and letters that transported her to a happier time. The smell of freshly cut grass and the singing of birds were reminders of what she had lost. "How I wish you were here, love," Anna whispered, almost as if she expected the breeze to carry her words to him. She closed her eyes, allowing herself a moment of vulnerability. It was hard to believe that 10 years had passed since he left. 10 years of memories, mourning, loneliness. His absence had become a constant part of her life, and she still struggled to find her place in the world without him. At that moment, her phone vibrated in her bag. It was a message from Pedro, her son. "Mom, we need to talk. Can't keep going like this." Anna's heart sank. The message was short, but the words were like a sharp blade to her soul. With a heavy sigh, she put away her phone and got up from the bench, deciding it was time to go home. When she arrived, she found Pedro waiting for her in the living room. He had his arms crossed, closed expression on his face. The tension in the air was palpable. Anna tried to smile, but her effort was in vain. "Hi, son. Did you want to talk to me?" she asked, trying to sound calm. "We need your help, Mom. You're acting strangely, and it's affecting Lara," Pedro replied, his voice heavy with frustration. Anna felt as if a bucket of cold water had been thrown over her. Lara, Pedro's new wife, had become a constant and oppressive presence in her life. Her manipulation was becoming more and more evident. Pedro seemed blind to it. "Pedro, I'm just trying to deal with my pain. Today is..." "It's a difficult day for me," Anna said, trying to explain. But he seemed not to be listening. Pedro's gaze hardened. "This isn't about you, Mom. You need to take care of your own life. Lara and I are trying to build a family, and you're becoming an intruder. You need to change," he said, his voice loud and cutting. "After you left home, I noticed part of my savings had disappeared." Pedro crossed his arms, staring at her with an accusatory expression. "Do you know anything about that?" Anna was taken aback, feeling the accusation pierce her heart like a knife. "What? How can you think that of me, Pedro?" Her voice trembled with indignation and pain. "I would never do such a thing. I am your mother." Pedro remained unfazed by her response. "The savings were there before you left. Now they're gone. I know you were desperate. This is unacceptable," continued, ignoring Anna's obvious suffering. "Pedro, I swear I didn't take anything," Anna exclaimed, tears streaming down her face. "I left because I needed to be alone for a while, because I thought it would be best for everyone. I would never do anything to hurt you." Pedro, still hesitant, took a step back, anger mixing with doubt. Anna felt the tears rolling down her face. "But I am your mother. I have always done my best for you," she shouted, frustration and pain overflowing. "I sacrificed everything for you. You abandoned me. You don't understand. I can't live like this. You're the only one who doesn't realize you're pushing us away. You need to move out, Mom. That's what I want," Pedro fired back without a shred of compassion. The words echoed in Anna's mind like a devastating blow. She felt small, insignificant, as if all the love she had given her son had been in vain. With a tightness in her heart, she turned and left the room, tears now flowing freely. She felt alone and abandoned in a world that had once seemed safe. As she walked back to the park, still holding the box of memories, Anna reflected on the sacrifices she had made for Pedro. The life she had built seemed to crumble before her, and the pain of rejection consumed her. The voices of happy families surrounded her. But for Anna, they were a constant reminder of what she had lost. The silence that enveloped her now was deafening. She had dedicated her life to caring for her son, and now she found herself rejected and helpless, in a world that had forgotten her. She sat on a bench, watching the leaves fall from the trees, remembering the fondness her husband had for that place. It was where they used to spend weekends, laughing and playing together. Now loneliness wrapped around her like a heavy cloak. Meanwhile, Clara, her best friend, spotted her from a distance and ran over, concerned. "Anna, what are you doing here all alone?" Clara exclaimed, her voice mixing surprise and worry. Anna looked up, her eyes watery, and forced a smile. I'm just thinking. Her voice trembled, and Clara realized that something was deeply wrong. Thinking? Or rather suffering? You don't have to go through this alone. Come with me. I have a place for you. Clara grabbed Anna's bag and pulled her to get up. Anna hesitated for a moment. Clara's insistence was comforting. Without another word, two walked together in silence. Clara's house. Upon entering, Anna felt a warm welcome that contrasted with the cold she had felt at home. Please sit down. Clara invited her, gesturing to the comfortable sofa. Let's talk. What happened between you and Pedro? Anna took a deep breath, struggling to hold back the tears that threatened to escape. He kicked me out and accused me of stealing, Clara. He said I was unstable and that I should mind my own business. Anna's voice faltered, and she allowed herself to cry, tears streaming down her face. What an absurdity! Clara exclaimed with anger. He has no idea what he's doing. You've always been a wonderful mother. And Lara? Anna shook her head. She's behind all of this. I feel like she's trying to push me away from Pedro, manipulating him. He loves her so much, and I'm just an intruder in their lives now. Clara furrowed her brow, anger growing in her chest. You can't let this happen, Anna. You can't allow Lara to destroy your relationship with your son. What do you suggest I do? Anna asked, voice trembling. You need to regain your power. Sometimes revenge can be the key to opening people's eyes. Clara leaned forward intensely. We need to find out who Lara really is. There might be something deeper in this game she's playing. Anna looked at Clara, the idea of revenge both intriguing and frightening her at the same time. You really think this can work? She questioned, her gaze fixed on the floor. I believe it can. Let's investigate, find out what she's hiding. We can't let her continue to manipulate you. You deserve to know the truth, and more importantly, you deserve to be respected. Anna felt a wave of determination rise within her. Clara was right. She couldn't allow herself to be a helpless victim. The life she knew was crumbling, and now it was time to fight for herself and for Pedro. All right, Clara. Let's find out who Lara really is. The decision came out of her voice, firm and resolute. That's right. Clara smiled, encouraging Anna. Together we'll unmask this woman and bring the truth to light. The two friends looked at each other, a new purpose emerging between them. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt a spark of hope. The fight was just beginning, and she was ready to face whatever came. Anna watched the sunlight filtering through the leaves of the tree in Clara's backyard, where she had taken refuge after the bitter farewell with Pedro. The warmth of her friend's home was a balm for her shattered soul, but the unease still lingered. Clara had been a safe harbor, but now Anna needed more than comfort. She needed answers, and if necessary, revenge. I'm going to introduce you to someone who can help you, Clara said, breaking the silence as she prepared tea. He's a retired investigator, Miguel. He has a good nose for uncovering secrets. I'm sure he can help you find out more about Lara. Anna hesitated. What would it mean to discover more about Lara? She had already realized that Pedro's new wife was manipulative and treacherous, but now the idea that there could be something darker intrigued and terrified her at the same time. You think this is a good idea, Clara? What if it ends up making things worse? Clara paused for a moment, looking into her friend's eyes. Anna, you can't keep living with this uncertainty. If Lara is what I fear, you need to be prepared. And if she really is a criminal, you need proof before it's too late. After a moment of reflection, Anna agreed. The desire to understand the truth drove her to seek help. Soon, Miguel arrived at Clara's house, a middle-aged man with a calm presence and a penetrating gaze. You must be Anna, he said, extending his hand. Clara told me about you. Let's figure out this situation. As they sat at the table, Miguel began to ask questions. What exactly do you suspect about Lara? Anna took a deep breath, calling every cruel word Lara had spoken and how Pedro defended her. She despises me, and it seems like she's manipulating my son to see me as an intruder. I can't understand why he doesn't see it. Sometimes people have secrets that make them dangerous, Miguel said, jotting down notes in a notebook. I'll look into Lara's past. It may take some time, but I will find out whatever is necessary. As Miguel delved into his investigations, Anna felt a mix of relief and fear. What could he discover? The idea that Lara could be a criminal was unsettling, but the need to know the truth drove her. In the days that followed, Miguel began to bring information that left Ana perplexed. Found her on a sunny day with a serious expression. "Ana, I found some things about Lara's ex-husband. He died under very suspicious circumstances." Ana's heart raced. "What do you mean by suspicious?" "He had a history of abuse, and the investigation into his death was closed due to lack of evidence." "But things don't add up. Lara was present, and there were witnesses who said she was with him the night he died." Ana couldn't process the information. This can't be true. She can't be a murderer. I'm not saying she is, but there's a pattern, and if she was capable of manipulating such a serious situation, what's to stop her from doing the same to Pedro and to you?" Miguel said, weighing each word. Ana felt a chill run down her spine. The idea that Lara could be a criminal not only terrified her, it also ignited a spark of determination. "What should I do?" "We need to gather more evidence before confronting her. We can't act hastily. But rest assured, we are not just fighting against Lara. We are fighting for your truth and for your son." With that, Ana began to feel that the battle taking shape was not only a fight for the truth, but also for her dignity and for Pedro's love, which seemed so distant. The revelations about Lara left her intrigued and scared, but they also motivated her to fight for the relationship she had always dreamed of having with her son. The struggle was just beginning, and even though she was afraid, Ana felt that she finally had a purpose. Ana was nervous as she waited for Lara in the living room, her restless hands trembling over her legs. The afternoon sun filtered through the curtains, creating an almost idyllic atmosphere, but the tension hanging in the air made everything feel dark. The door opened, and Lara walked in, a radiant smile contrasting with the seriousness of the situation. "Hi, Ana. It's so good to see you. What happened?" Lara said, trying to appear genuinely concerned, although Ana knew that behind that mask was a subtle poison. "We need to talk, Lara. It's about you and Pedro." Ana took a deep breath, her voice somewhat shaky but filled with determination. "I have some things to show you." Lara raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Things? What are you talking about? You know Pedro doesn't like you interfering in our lives." "Interfering? Is that what you call protecting my son?" Ana refused to be shaken by the provocation. "I've uncovered some truths about you, and I can't let you keep manipulating Pedro." Lara crossed her arms, her smile fading. "Oh, Ana, you shouldn't worry so much. Pedro is happy with me. You don't need to feel threatened." "Happy?" Ana laughed, a bitter laugh. "Do you really believe that?" "I have proof of your past, Lara. Miguel collected everything. He knows what you did." Lara's expression darkened instantly. "Miguel? What does he have to do with this?" Her voice was a sharp whisper, the facade of confidence starting to crack. Ana pulled out a folder of documents she had brought. "Here are the records. The abuse complaints, the investigation into your ex-husband's death. You can't keep hiding behind the happiness you built with lies. You have no idea what you're talking about, Ana. You're just letting yourself be carried away by your own fears and insecurities." Lara stepped forward, seemingly calm, but Ana could see the anger boiling beneath the surface. "Fears? Insecurities? I am Pedro's mother, and you are destroying his relationship with me. He needs to know who you really are." Ana's heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and despair. At that moment, Pedro entered the room, interrupting the tension. "What's going on here?" His expression was a mix of confusion and concern. "Ana is accusing me of absurd things, love. You know I'm innocent, don't you?" Lara turned to him with a look that tried to be convincing, but that Ana knew all too well. It was a manipulative look that had always worked. "Pedro, I just want you to see the truth," Ana pleaded, desperation in her voice. "Lara is not who she says she is. I have evidence. You can't ignore this." "Evidence? You always make up things to mess up my life," Pedro retorted, defending Lara passionately. "I just wanted to be happy. You're trying to destroy that." "Destroy? I'm trying to protect you." Ana felt the pain of betrayal and disdain swelling in her chest. "Lara is using you, and you don't see it." In that moment, Lara seized the confusion. "Pedro, I can't stay here listening to this. I need to go. I'm going to grab some things." With that, she turned and quickly left the room, while Pedro stood paralyzed, unsure of what to do. "Pedro, please listen." Anna shouted, but he had already turned to the door trying to catch up with Lara. "No, Mom, you need to stop. I don't want this anymore," Pedro exclaimed, his voice choked. As the door closed, devastated, Anna let the tears flow down her face. The struggle against Lara was not just for herself, but for a future she could still have with Pedro. It was a tough battle, but she knew she couldn't give up. The path ahead was filled with shadows. She was willing to face each one of them to regain her son's love. Anna sat at the table in the small conference room at the police station, her nervous fingers drumming on the cold surface. Miguel, the retired investigator who had become not only her ally, but also an unlikely friend, was reviewing the documents that had revealed the dark truths about Lara. The smell of fresh coffee that someone had brewed lingered in the air, mingling with the tension that filled the room. "Are you really ready for this, Anna?" Miguel asked, looking into her eyes with seriousness. Anna took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her decisions. In that moment, she was not just a hurt woman, but a mother willing to fight for the truth. "Yes, Miguel? I can't stand still anymore. It's time to seek justice," she replied, the determination in her voice almost resonating in the room. Meanwhile, in the back of her mind, Anna replayed the moments when Pedro had called her unstable. Those words still hurt her, but now she felt she had a chance to rewrite her story. She stood up, adjusting the blouse she was wearing, a gesture that symbolized not only her readiness but also a new phase in her life. "Let's do this," she said with a newfound firmness. With Miguel by her side, Anna headed to the main police station. The white walls and cold corridors seemed to absorb the energy of the decision she had made. Upon entering the commissioner's office, Anna felt a mix of nervousness and relief. The commissioner greeted her, and Miguel quickly presented the evidence: photos, documents, and accounts that proved Lara's manipulations and her involvement in dark events of the past. "We need to reopen the case of Lara's ex-husband's death," Miguel declared, his voice sounding firm. The detective, a middle-aged man with an experienced look, examined the papers before raising his eyes to Anna. "Are you sure you want to go through with this? Could have consequences not just for Lara, but also for you and your family." Anna took a deep breath, thinking of Pedro. "Yes, I'm ready. I can't let the lie keep destroying my life and my son's," she said, her voice trembling slightly but filled with conviction. The detective nodded, taking note of the information. Days passed, and Anna was living a mix of anxiety and hope. The capture of Lara was becoming imminent, and with each news that came in, Anna felt her heart race. Pedro, on the other hand, seemed lost in a sea of confusion. His routine had completely changed since Lara's escape, and he began to recall the moments when Anna had been by his side, fighting for him, for his happiness. One night, while Anna was at home, a knock on the door startled her. It was Pedro, with a tired look and a hesitant voice. "Mom, can I come in?" he asked, and Anna, hesitating, nodded. They sat in the living room, and silence stretched between them, an emotional distance that felt almost palpable. "I've been thinking about all of this," Pedro began, his voice choked. "About how I treated you, about Lara. I didn't want to believe what you told me. I was so blind." Anna looked at him, tears threatening to fall. "I have always been here, Pedro. I always wanted the best for you," she replied, trying to stay calm, but the emotion was overwhelming. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't know," he said, his voice trembling. "I didn't know Lara was like that. I just wanted to be happy." Anna leaned closer, placing her hand over his, trying to reconnect with the son she loved so much. "Happiness isn't worth it if it's built on lies. We need to face this together." That night, amidst tears and confessions, Anna decided she was ready to forgive. The road ahead would still be long, but there was a new light of hope. She knew that even with the scars she carried, the strength she had found could guide her toward a better future. Pedro was sitting in Miguel's office, the retired investigator. The room was filled with files and documents, creating an atmosphere of intense investigation. Miguel was at his desk, examining some papers while Pedro looked on anxiously. "What did you find, Miguel?" Pedro asked, tension evident in his voice. Miguel looked up, expression serious. "Pedro, the discoveries we've made are disturbing." He handed a thick dossier to Pedro. "Start here. Lara tried to sell her house while her mother was still living with you. Fortunately, she was unsuccessful, but the documents don't lie." Pedro opened the dossier and saw the evidence. Unfinished sale contracts, correspondence emails. His heart raced. She tried to sell the house? Whispered Pedro, incredulous. And that's not all, continued Miguel, pulling out more documents. Lara also tried to take out loans in your name. We found several attempts to apply at different banks. Pointed to the evidence. Pedro flipped through the papers, each page revealing more betrayal. He felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the extent of Lara's actions. How did I not see this before? He murmured, his voice filled with pain and regret. Miguel paused, looking Pedro directly in the eye. Because she was good at manipulating. She did everything to keep you away from your mother, so you would be vulnerable and trust only her. And it didn't stop there. He picked up more documents. We discovered that part of the missing savings was transferred to an overseas account in her name. Pedro felt the world crumble around him. All the pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, revealing an evil plan. She was trying to destroy me financially and emotionally. Pedro shook his head, anger rising within him. And she was willing to do anything to achieve that, even end me. Miguel nodded gravely. Exactly. We found evidence that she was planning something even worse. Conversations, emails, and text messages indicating that she was willing to harm you physically if you became an obstacle. Pedro felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. He stood up abruptly, breathing heavily. I need to get my mother out of this nightmare. And I need to make sure Lara pays for all of this, he declared, his voice firm and determined. Miguel stood up, placing a hand on Pedro's shoulder. We're with you, Pedro. We will expose Lara and ensure that justice is served. Pedro nodded, feeling a new determination rise within him. He left Miguel's office with a clear mission: protect his mother and destroy Lara's evil plan. As he drove back home, he thought about how to apologize to Anna for doubting her. He knew it would be difficult, but he was ready to do whatever it took to rebuild what Lara tried to destroy. Meanwhile, Lara, in her desperate attempt to escape the consequences, was finally captured. The news spread like wildfire, and Anna felt an indescribable relief. The cycle of pain was coming to an end. And with it, possibility of a fresh start became more real every day. What are you going to do now, Mom? Pedro asked, the look that mixed concern and hope. Anna smiled faintly, feeling lighter. I'm going to rebuild my life, and our relationship too. And in that moment, Anna realized that overcoming wasn't just a word. It was a path she was ready to walk, alongside the son who was finally beginning to understand the value of true love. Did you like the video? Leave your like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to receive all updates. See you soon.